Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Luca's Tigers and Bronze. Oh my.
Well, Luca Nation, welcome back to a Saturday evening.
Of the 8 boxes that we broke with people, 7 of them got rookie ticket autos. Of the remaining boxes that I had, 1 rookie ticket auto. So we did good by our group.
They did good by our group.
They actually got our stuff. But anyway, yeah, go ahead and kick us off. You know what I like? To Jill, throw that in there if you like. Maybe it'll make it easier for editing. Brett McGrath. You know, you talk ahead of time, and then he does like a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, we're not countdown kind of guys, but I did notice that when he did that. It probably makes it easy for him to find that cutoff point. And if you do,
I get butterflies when he does that. I get nervous. No. I'm like, what's my first word gonna be?
But sometimes I find myself like talking and stepping on your toes when you're gonna blast into the deal, and then sometimes the Lucas Tigers Browns has got me in the background saying, "I just picked my nose," you know, or something, which is fine. It adds to the flavor of it, I guess. But you know.
What I'm looking forward to, Cage, I have 3 topics to discuss, and then we'll get into our plays. But
nice.
Tonight, there's 2 big fights.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Mike Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr. That's gonna be interesting. And then we got Logan Paul.
Did you see the reel I posted?
Nate Robinson. I see everything, Cage. Nice. Cage, I see everything. I'm like a bird.
Yeah. You're the eye in the sky.
Everything. I'm the eye in the sky.
You're a casino video camera. Nobody can count cards when you're there. All right.
That was a good movie. See, now you're talking my language. But we got Logan Paul fighting Nate Robinson, Mike Tyson fighting Roy Jones Jr., and the first woman NCAA football player.
Isn't Jake Paul, right? Isn't the brother and fighting Nate Robinson? One of these guys?
Logan Paul's fighting with Nate Robinson. It's true.
How does that happen? How does that even occur?
It seems like it's not a big deal, but it's actually huge. If you think about it, an athlete is fighting a YouTube influencer, and they're going to sell out Staples Center for it. So, like, it seems kind of is innocuous, the word, surprising, but that's 2020. That's the world we live in, man. We live in a world of influencers, entertainers, celebrities, and it's no longer just boxers that are fighting. I think Mayweather versus McGregor kind of broke the boundaries, and now we're seeing how far they could go.
Yeah, but at least at least you know what's his name. McGregor was a combat sports person to begin with. You know, at least he was. You know, he's a fighter now, and it's Jake Paul, by the way, dude. It's his brother. I saw Logan Paul talking about it on Twitter. It's Jake Paul fighting Nate Robinson, the ex Nick, but Nate Robinson's tiny.
I hear you, but man, it wasn't so long ago in 1980s, plumbers would go work their full-time job, and then they would go to like Veterans Stadium and play the game. So it seems crazy in what it's become. Chick-fil-A is phenomenal. You're absolutely right, Ian. I agree they should be open on Sundays. Chick-fil-A is amazing. What's your favorite Chick-fil-A sauce, Ian?
He's posting? Is he posting that or something? What are you saying, Chick-fil-A?
I heard Ian talk about Chick-fil-A.
We're getting Chick-fil-A for dinner tonight. That's funny.
Let's go.
Chick-fil-A for dinner tonight. It's fantastic.
Ian, meanwhile, what's your sauce? What's Ian's sauce?
He can't hear you. What's your favorite sauce? He doesn't really go with the sauce. Do you like a sauce at Chick-fil-A?
No.
No, he's not a sauce person. He just eats the nuggets like it's his job. Dude, I gotta tell you something, right? So Anthony Smith, he probably doesn't listen to this, but his name is Lionheart, Anthony Lionheart Smith. We owe you an apology here because, you know, my co-host, you know, Andrew here, who I love dearly, and you know, sometimes I upset him, guys. I want to make sure you know that. I got a talking to before this. So we're coming on here, and I like to share with you because if I'm not my usual Cage, I've been browbeaten a little bit here. I mailed it in a little bit, you know, on a recent episode. You know, you probably can't tell because it hasn't been released yet. But oh man, did Andrew take me to school? Like ruler over the knuckles here. So I'm like a cowering dog in the corner. I know that my next treat is not coming anytime soon. But my co-host here, he's talking about the two huge fights, right? The two huge fights that are coming tonight. And I'm expecting him to say Tyson Jones, and I'm expecting to hear about the UFC event where Anthony Lionheart Smith is fighting. And he goes, so Lionheart, if you happen to listen to this, man, I love you. You know, you've had some wars in the cage. And, you know, I'm looking forward to watching you tonight at the UFC Apex. But that was not where you were going. You were going with Jake Paul and Nate Robinson as the
Well,
second.
let's twist
That's
it this
amazing.
way, Cage. Cage, let's twist
Amazing.
it this way. Who has a bigger following, Logan
forget
Paul
about it.
or Braveheart Mel Gibson Lionheart?
You don't even have to go much further than that. I'm 99% sure that the Jake Paul fight is on pay-per-view and the UFC one is not. So you can answer your own question right there. You're 100% right. The bigger fights, the two pay-per-view fights, are Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. So you're right. You are 100% correct. It's not where I thought you were going.
And you know what is the interesting thing about this? And we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but the thing that got Mike Tyson to do the fight, he actually opened up a weed farm. I don't know if you heard about it.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Come on, man. By the way,
you're not the only one that
Andrew's announcing this now. He's announcing it now. He is going to be starting another podcast about hydroponics.
Yep.
Jeez. No, I did not hear this.
Coffee and cannabis with Goldberg.
Yeah. Cannabis with Goldberg. Exactly. Coffee and cannabis. 100% right. Oh man, that would be great. Actually, I would definitely.
So you think our audience, as opportunistic as they are, they see money in sports cards? You don't think they're looking at weed stocks?
I'm sure they are, but here's the deal, right? So you know what I love about what we bring to our audience? I love that you know more about basketball probably than anybody I know. And I know that when I talk cards and when I talk sports cards and we extrapolate that with a little bit of your knowledge in basketball, like I'm going to give a basketball play here and you're going to tell me what your thought is from a basketball perspective. And I'm going to give it from a card perspective. And I don't think there's anybody out there who can do that. And that's why I think people pay attention to us. I don't know jack about growing weed, smoking weed. I can tell you it's green. Other than that, if people really want to find out about marijuana stocks or about what the best stuff to put in their THC pen is, they shouldn't be tuning into the Luca Tigers and Bronze Sports Card podcast. Is all I'm trying to say. I'm not saying you guys want to listen to that. You want to do that. That's your lifestyle. Go right ahead. It's not mine personally. Not judging. Like I said in the prior episode, I was in a fraternity. I know all about that fun stuff, right? But it's just you're tuning in here for 15, 20, 25 minutes a day. We're trying to give you some card stuff. If you expect me to become an expert on cannabis, give me some time. I can do it. Trust me. But that's my only take on it, man.
Did you hear a girl? She played on the Vanderbilt football team today. Activated.
Did I hear about it? I tweeted about it because of COVID.
What do you think about that? For me, it's a huge deal because even though we as men were like, well, what is she going to do? Is she going to kick? It gives a lot of girls confidence and permission in life to pursue their dreams.
It's look, forget about the background. Forget about that the Vanderbilt, it's Vanderbilt, right? Forget about their team was decimated by COVID. Forget about the circumstances around it. Yes, it is a glass ceiling shattering, a barrier breaking thing. It happened. It shouldn't have taken this long to happen. I tweeted before that, Topps and Leaf and Panini should all get on it and make their Panini Instant and Topps Now cards. Agreed. This should be the card. I don't care what else. I don't care what happens with Mike Tyson tonight. I don't care what goes on in whatever soccer games are out there in the world, and what else goes. That is huge. It's a huge deal. I have a daughter. I tell my daughter now, you want to play in a Big Five college game? It's been done. Not that she couldn't do it before, but now it's been done. What makes things easier in life is when other people have done them. You know what I mean? These trailblazers who are out there. So it's a pretty cool thing. It definitely is. And as soon as I saw that, I definitely tweeted out to all the major sports card companies because I'd be a buyer. You tell me that you're going to make a Topps Now card about that, I will buy in bulk. 100%. Go out and get that girl's autograph on one of them. 100%.
It's pretty cool. And the people out there that tweet back and say if she had to tackle someone, she'd get crushed. They're probably right, but that's not really the point, right? Because now they have a benchmark to work up of. Well, what's next? Will a girl be a starting quarterback? We think that so far. She's a kicker, but it's so far-fetched. But I think what happens is people start to believe. I think it gives belief.
Yeah. Listen, I have cards.
My personal opinions don't matter because it does give girls and young girls belief that they can become world-class.
I have cards from 1992. It was Classic 4 Sport.
Mia Hamm. I bet you loaded up.
No, it wasn't me. It wasn't Mia. This is before Mia. Mia was probably a child when this happened. But 1992 4 Sport. The Shaq was huge in it. Shaquille O'Neal was a big basketball rookie. Alex Rodriguez was the year after. Jeter was in it, but he wasn't the huge baseball prospect. Phil Nevin, believe it or not, was the big baseball prospect at the time. Hockey was a guy named Roman Hammerlick, Alexei Yashin were in it. But the big name, oh yeah, football was like David Carr. Who was the big football guys in there? David Klingler from Cincinnati Bengals. None of these people ever made it. But in hockey that year, the Tampa Bay Lightning had a goalie. I'll butcher her name. I know we have a lot of listeners in Canada, so guys, please let me have it because I'm gonna say this wrong because it's a French name. But it's like Manon Rion was her name.
That was well done.
And legit, like hockey. Like, look it up. There are hockey cards for her. I don't know that she got into NHL games, regulation games. I think she was on like the preseason games and definitely got into a few. But Manon Rion, check it out. It's a 1992 classic Force Sport was the set that it was in. Like draft pick kind of set and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, stuff like that. I remember that because there are these moments in time, these players who will crash. Will there be a quarterback? Will there be a pitcher? Can somebody, you never know, right? You never know.
That's the point. Like, you never know. And we often set these ceilings or limitations for ourselves. A roof is a man-made thing, as Matthew McConaughey once said. Yeah, I quoted Matthew McConaughey. He's a smart dude. Now, I have an NBA play too. I'm worried that we have the same NBA play. And it's a play I've brought before, and someone that we recently interviewed actually put it back on my radar. But I've given this play before, and I've given the analysis before, so I brought two plays, so it doesn't look like I'm a copycat. What about you,
my friend? I have a feeling we are the same. So go ahead and do your play. I have a feeling we're the same one. Because go ahead.
I'll tell you what I'm looking at first, and then I'll tell my play. I've been super interested, and this is kind of stepping on my own toes, but this is the guy I am. I've been looking at Kobe ticket autos. Okay. Like games that he's played, high-level games that he's played, maybe the finals versus the Celtics, is any finals game, any first, season opener, season closing game, final ticket, but ones that he's autographed. I've been really looking at those because I think we've talked about it with Adam a little bit, Adam 27 guy, and you said it. You had the infamous line, Kobe's kind of a Panini whore. What, am I saying something wrong? No, you're not. So,
I'm sorry. I feel bad, but I did say that. I definitely did say that.
Kidding.
No, I wasn't kidding about that though. Come on, open it. Look, there's plenty of stuff. There's plenty of stuff out there.
So then it got me starting to think. Okay, well, if his cards, I still need to do some research, figure out which autos to buy. What about something cool like a collector's item? An auto on a ticket. And I got to eBay, and believe it or not, there is the slimmest supply I've seen of any collectible out there. They're just not there. So this is where you have to get creative, but I'd be on the lookout because it's really cool, I think, to have a ticket signed by a player, and you can get that authenticated by PSA. It's put in a really nice slab, so it kind of can become a card type of thing. Now, my player's Cameron Johnson. Is that yours?
It is not.
Cool.
So we're good. We are rocking. Let's hear it. Let's hear Cam Johnson.
So Luka's up 20, 30, 40%. Trey's up 20, 30, 40%. MPJ's running. A lot of these bigger name guys are running. Cam Johnson's Prism base card is the same price it was basically year round, $5 to $10. I think that's a dirt cheap card. I think that's a card you could throw into a bulk sub. I think that's a card that becomes 20, 25 bucks. Now, if you look at that Suns roster, it's now or never. So I'm not here saying that the Suns are going to win the West or they're even going to make the playoffs or anything like that. But I'll say they surely feel the pressure that it's this year or never. Do you agree with that, Cage?
Yes, I definitely do.
Now we bring in CP3, who's 6'0", barely. And now he's surrounded by Devin Booker, scorer, Cam Johnson, scorer, one of the best three-point shooters in the game. And he's got DeAndre Ayton to run what? Pick and rolls. This is CP3's team. I imagine that Cam Johnson's going to have a JJ Redick type of season when he played for the Clippers. DeAndre Ayton's kind of going to be that like Blake Griffin role. And Devin Booker, man, he's a problem. He is a problem. And Mikal Bridges is a good 3-and-D defender. So I think that team's going to be poised to be in 4th, 5th, 6th seed. Look at what CP3 did with the OKC Thunder, and you can't even compare the rosters between the Suns and the Thunder. I think the Suns have a much better roster. I think they've just been very inexperienced. Winning is more than talent, and I think CP3 is a proven winner, and I think he's going to make Cameron Johnson better. Now you can get his Prism ungraded for $5, $8,
Wow.
$11, just based on like centering and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you could buy quantity of that card cheap. And I don't know a card that has more value in it than this card. So Warren Buffett often talks about growth versus value. They're kind of intertwined. They're kissing cousins, for lack of a better word. But I would put this in the value bucket times 1,000. In my opinion, this should be a $16 card. If a Tyler Hero Prism base is 30, this should be 16, 15, not 5. So I think that's one win. I think this card is going to 3x when he's the leading 3-point scorer in the league next year, which I think he will definitely be in. He'll be at least top 5 in my opinion. And now if you get it graded, if you get a good one, you're talking about $100, $150 card in my opinion by next season. So that's my play.
I like it. I definitely like it. And I mean, the team's going to be very, very good. So mine's a similar one, right? And it's funny that you're on Cam Johnson. I'm also going to give a play that I've never given before, but I'm going to give a play that you've given before. And really, the reason why it works that we're both talking about these basketball plays is because we've seen a run up in basketball cards, right? We've seen a run up from people in high end, right? Trey has gone up, right? And Luka has gone up, and Tatum has gone back up, and Zion and Ja and Giannis and all these guys, they're starting to bring their their cards are going back up, right? I mean, that's just what's going on, right? So what hasn't happened yet, at least I don't think, what hasn't happened yet is the next level hasn't moved up yet, right? And the next level guys haven't gone up yet, because right now everybody's rushing. There's a month before the season starts, right? A little less than a month, and they're like, let me get in because there's going to be a run up on cards, right? We talked about this, Trey, Luka, you name it, and we've seen that run up, right? But the other folks haven't run up as much yet. And I actually got a great question from a listener, Tariq Garzala. So I'll probably said that wrong, but messaged me today.
Tariq?
And Tariq said that he was looking at a card, and it's one that I was planning on bringing as a play today. So it's funny how, like minds will be on this. And he said, look, in August, these cards were at all-time high PSA 10s. They hit 600 to 650, and they're currently sitting around 260. So you're going from basically 620 to 260, right?
Wow.
He said, and I'm gonna let you know.
What could make you lose 2/3 of your value?
Well, I mean, here's the deal. And it's funny, right? This question goes on to say, my main concern with him is his history of injuries. What do you guys think? And thanks for your time. Now, I said, great question. I personally have had some of the same concerns, but we did an episode not long ago. One of our guests actually knows Michael Porter Jr.
Is it the Linguini body out of Denver?
And he knows him and says the injury is not anything to worry about. The kid's a scorer. And I said to this person when I answered him, and I want to give this answer now out to everybody here. I said, Andrew loves the guy. Andrew knows basketball, right?
I love his upside.
Let
me just asterisk that.
Yeah, please. But so that's what I love too, right? So I love the fact that you can go out there right now and on eBay buy it today, $260, which means you can go on a Facebook group for people who were stashing these and are now looking to sell and get somebody else, whether it's Trey, Luka, or somebody else. You could probably get them for $250 or $240 or whatever it may be. So here's the deal: these things bottomed out, but unlike Trey that bottomed out, or unlike Luka that bottomed out at $1,100 and is now close to $2,000, right? When these cards went down to $230, $240, when there was Probstein auctions that ended 4 of them the same night, you might have got them in the high 220s, 230s. They're still at $250. They're still attainable for you at $245. So what I love about it is he's going to score. He's going to have a run. He's going to have minutes. He's going to, early in the season, score 30-something points in a game and then probably follow that up with another 30-something point game. And why I love the pick is it doesn't have to go to the high. Just Luka and Trey have already gotten back to their highs almost. Trey's gotten over his highs. I mean, Trey's base is over $700 right now, right? This card does not have to go back to $650 for you to make money. It doesn't even have to go to $500. It doesn't have to double. Think of it this way, right? If a card that was $650 because this guy was hot and now forgotten and there are injury concerns, when he heats back up again, if it goes back to $450, is that reasonable? A card that was $650 now at $450?
Can I tell you what my concern with him is? Because it's not injury related.
Sure. But
did you watch his games in the bubble?
Yes.
Did you hear the announcers? Like, they were kind of critical of him. They're very critical
they were.
of him.
They 100%
like
were.
to a degree, like you never really hear. It's like Michael Porter Jr. really needs to learn how to play defense. Well, that was really easy. He just blew right by MPJ. You heard that?
Well, yes, but here's the deal, right? So, and look, my hope, just like everybody's hoping that Zion is doing nothing but eating tofu for the last 4 months. And look, you're not going to learn how to play defense in 2 months either. That's just not the way it works. But here's the deal, right? We've talked about this not just in sports and in cards, but in life in America, right? There's one thing we love to do. We love to tear people down. We just do. I don't know why. We love to tear people down.
Is that a form of judgment?
And then we love, I'm judging you. Then after we tear people down, we love nothing more than the comeback story. We love to build them back up. We love to root for them again, right? So Michael Porter Jr. got his head out over his feet a little too much, right? And this is what happens, right? So this is a guy who, some would say, came out of nowhere. People who follow him, he didn't come out of nowhere. He had that run, man, where he was scoring like at will. And people were talking about him like, wow, look at this guy. This is a guy who's putting up points. Every announcer can't say that he's the greatest player since sliced bread, right? They have to find a way to say, all right, Michael Porter Jr., we see you can score. But if you want to stay in this league, if you want to continue to get minutes, you're going to have to defend better than that on a pick and roll. You're going to have to cover your guy a little bit better. Now, look, bubble, interesting stuff. Can they scheme for a guy so that he's not in those situations? Sure, it's a little less than football. Basketball, if you can't play defense, they will find you, right? They will find a way to exploit that. But, I think with somebody who's a scorer like that, it almost is, you're not going to really
it's a wash.
Lose his
it's
offense.
Exactly. It's a wash.
What I think of now, I'm not comparing this guy to Trey. Everybody, I'm not. But whenever somebody has a knock on Trey, or says anything bad about Trey, I can't believe his price is this much. He can't play defense. He's a liability. You see videos of it too. Doesn't seem to be impacting his prices. And I'm not telling you right now that my play is Michael Porter Jr. so you could buy him and hold him until he goes into the Hall of Fame and is written down as the top 50 players of all time. He's probably not one of the top 50 players in the league. But it doesn't have to be. He's got a card that's depressed in price that I think is going to go back to 2/3 of what its high was. It doesn't have to go to its high, it goes to 2/3.
And guys,
back
Jeremy
to 2/3,
Grant,
you're making money.
Yep, Jeremy Grant, someone who's taken minutes from him, just signed with the Pistons too. Big deal.
Yep.
Big deal. And there's a lot of questions like, why would he go to the Pistons? Why would he go for this deal? I wonder. I always think like behind the scenes, what's the conversation? I wonder if they're dedicated to giving Michael Porter Jr. 28, 29 minutes a game for the first 40 games. That's a conversation teams have with a player. Because you guys have to understand, a player can't play when it's like, hey, today you're playing 20 minutes, today you're playing 1, tomorrow you're playing 40. That's really tough to adjust to. So they have these conversations, and I wonder if they're dedicated to giving MPJ, a first half of next season to see what is he really made of. I'll tell you, man, if you go back to watch him in the bubble, this is what I watch from a really good scorer cage. If someone's in your grill, like right up on you, you know what I mean? And you still rise up and make bucket after bucket after bucket, and you're not even scared to shoot, that's a different level of scorer. That's elite category. That's Kevin Durant. And Michael Porter Jr. reminds me a lot of KD's game. I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be really interesting.
Listen, guys, we got the Michael Porter Jr. I'm gonna let you run because it's a Saturday night, and we want to try to keep these pointed. Cam Johnson, Michael Porter Jr. If you're watching the fights tonight, enjoy them. Think like this, right? So Andrew's always telling you, we're not just gonna give you the fish, right? We're gonna give you the fishing pole and teach you how to fish. Andrew and I came to basically the same conclusion here with two different guys for the same reason. We see what's going on in the basketball market. We see some of the more obvious names starting to move up. And we said, you know what? Well, who's not an obvious name And then a layer on top of that, even though it's not an obvious name, it's somebody who's going to get an opportunity, somebody that had an opportunity in the bubble, someone we saw something out of at the end of last year, Cam Johnson, Michael Porter Jr., and somebody that has the opportunity to, even though the cards have come down a little bit, really impress when the season starts off. And it's not somebody who needs to be a world beater for the prices to go up from where they are. So when doing your own stuff, that's the kind of thing you should be looking at, right? Look at a market trend overall, basketball going up, basketball heading up into the season, but try to find somebody who is a play that hasn't gone up. And let me leave you with one other one, guys, because I'm going to do this myself when I'm finished here, because this isn't, I don't want to call this a moneymaker, although it'll be a fun moneymaker at some point in time, I'm sure. The last name is Rayon. It's Rheaume. And I was right, Tampa Bay Lightning. And it's, signed a contract with the Tampa Bay Lightning, and she became the first woman to play in any of the major North American pro sports leagues. Like I said, I don't think she got into a full actual game, but she played in preseason games and that kind of stuff. You can buy the card that I was talking about, the 1992 Classic 4 Sport. It's card number 224. She's there with her goalie uniform on. I remember pulling this out of a pack. It was actually a pretty amazing card at the time. I see one right now for 99 cents plus free shipping. So I'm gonna grab one of these, because everybody's collection should have this card, just like everybody's collection should have the Tops Now or the Panini card of this kicker who kicked for Vanderbilt today. Whether it's a woman, whether it's a minority, whether it's Jackie Robinson, there are trailblazers in sports that allow us to kind of break down some of the limitations that are there for people in society. And I'm going to grab one of these and put it in my collection. I'm actually pretty ashamed to say that I don't have it already, but it's the kind of stuff we want you to hear from us here. Nobody else is talking about the Classic 4 Sport goalie card from 1992 that I remember pulling from a pack myself. So go ahead and add one to your collection, because it's one of those cool conversation pieces. And if we're not buying this stuff to kind of flex and have those real conversations, what are we doing it for?
I just want to talk to you all day, Cage.
No, you don't. You want to yell at me. You want to be mean to me. I don't like it. Listen, if you're listening to this and you want to put a comment in there, tell Andrew to stop being mean to Cage.
I have high standards for the people in my life. I'll leave it at that. But I will say, I think I have a high standard for myself. But it's all love. It's all love. Like I'm young. I could come off completely wrong. I could be mistaken. So who knows? Love you, Luca Nation.
I've seen the last 3 ladies. You think you have high standards, but no. Just kidding. All right, guys. Listen, we love you. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Take care. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.